It's cutting-edge technology today on Motorhead Garage. For one, we get to install new tank sensors on a big RV. We'll also take a look at the latest in plasma cutters.
I've been watching this for 20 years and I never get tired of it.
Coming up next.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Motorhead Garage. You know, Sam, when you have to do fabrication work, the old days, what were you doing? Cutting a piece of metal out with a hacksaw or a bandsaw and
die grinder, whiz wheel, anything you can get
files,
your hands on.
whatever. Well, let me tell you, today it's totally changed because now you can make pieces the easy way, and that is with a plasma cutter.
That's right. And what we have here is the Tracker Pro table, and this is Tracker Ken, who's been doing this for 20 years. If you got a metalworking shop, you need to have one of these.
It's come to that now. They're affordable enough that everybody needs one, and you just can't grind on a part anymore. You can grind on a part all day, and it looks like you ground on it all day.
That's right.
Well, what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to show you how to make these parts right now. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to get another project ready.
All right. So what we're doing right now is we're cutting an exhaust manifold flange. What we've got here is a couple of 3/8-inch thick steel exhaust manifold flanges or header flanges. Now this is from Boiler Exhaust, and this was cut on a very expensive either a water jet or a laser. Nice job, but here's the identical piece cut out of 3/8 steel on the Tracker. This is not something that Ken had to design. They already had to design. They sent it to you in a format. And what kind of format was that?
This is DXF. It's probably designed in SolidWorks. So we can work with any software program. Anything you can design and save as a vector format, we can open it in our command and cut software, and we can cut it. And we can do some things to it before we do cut it. We can change the order, we can change the direction, we can add lead-ins, a bunch of details to get a perfect part.
Using this machine is easy. Once you understand a little bit about a CAD program or a draw program, and this comes loaded up with software, we're going to show you how we do it step by step. Let's go ahead and put a part together. We're going to make that receiver plate.
There's a bunch of tools in here that I can use to make any shape I want. I can start with a rectangle, and I can draw it on the screen. I can change the size of it. I can put a radius on the corners. I can either do exact dimensional drawings, or I can do visual drawings as well with this program. That's the nice thing about Krell. It's not just a CAD program, it's also a graphics program. So there's my receiver. We give it some dimensions, 0 and 0, and there it is at 0, 0.
That's for coordinates for the machine.
So I have a reference to draw from. I need a benchmark.
Right.
Everything starts from 0, 0.
Okay.
I'm going to start with this in the middle. I'll make a couple keyholes just to keep this simple. I'll try to make them about 1/2 inch wide. And I'm also going to drag a radius onto that. Then I'm going to make a circle. You want to get the whole toe hook through, so let's make it about 3 inches. I'm going to stick this on top of this, and I want to make sure that this is centered. Let's put this 6 inches off this way, -6.
Because we're 6 inches from the center.
Yeah. And then I'm going to make this 6 inches from the center too, so it lines up. And I'm going to take this part and weld it to this part. Hold down the shift key, I grab 2 objects, hit the weld function, there I have a keyhole.
Great. Now this is what we're making here is a plate. You have your 2-inch receiver goes in there, toe hook will go through the slot into that keyhole.
That's right.
All right, now we want to duplicate that to the other side.
So we'll drag this over this way, and right click, and there's another one. I want to make it as a +6.
So now they're all equidistant from the center of that.
Yeah, and they're all lined up at the bottom. Now I'll make another box around this. What do we want to make it? We'll make it, what looks good here? I'm close, there's 19.33. Let's make it 20.
20 by 10?
And I want it to be lined up at the bottom. Let's just take this rectangle and drag it a little bigger.
Okay, that started off as our original 2-inch square, okay.
Yeah.
Now we're up to about 4.5.
Let's make this piece 1 inch thick.
Okay.
We'll put that guideline at -2. Guidelines are handy, so you don't have to have dimensions. You can visualize where it is. Mm-hmm. That's lined up.
Okay.
Now I also want to, I'm going to make a circle that fits in here. I'm going to drag it down, so it also lines up at the bottom there. Mm-hmm. Right click, make another one, over to this one. That's in the center of that. I just made that circle for a reference. I don't need that anymore, so I'll delete that. Now I want to weld all these pieces on here. Boom.
There you go.
I'm going to cut the radius off of this corner here. I'm just going to grab this node, and drag it up here. Grab this node, drag it up here. I've got some clip art here I want to add to this. And I look in here, I've got a Ford logo. Import, drag it wherever I want it, drop it, put it in the middle here. I don't want that ring around the outside. I'll select this ring, delete it, and this could be a little bigger. And we must make it exactly 6.
That looks good.
This edition of Motorhead Garage, presented by ARP, is being brought to you by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology. And by OKAR Performance Products, quality plain and simple. And by Original Parts Group, the world's largest source for GM A-body parts and accessories. And by Shark Hide, one great product, thousands of uses.
Hi, welcome back to Motorhead Garage. Well, Ken's got this all set up in here, and you can see this is a receiver plate, 2-inch squares where the tubing's going to go in, place for your tow hooks and your safety chains, and he's got a Ford scroll emblem on it, obviously going on a nice Ford truck. So we got everything all set up. What's the command to go?
D is do it.
D is do it. Okay, well, I know the E is for the exhaust fan.
Yeah.
Going to make some smoke.
Make sure you know everything's all ready to go here, because as soon as you push the enter key, there's going to be action.
We're ready to go?
Enter.
Enter.
Yeah. I've been watching this for 20 years and I never get tired of it.
Yeah, this is fun. There's no doubt I'm going to have one of these.
It looks great when the parts drop out, huh?
That's when you know you got a clean cut. Now, when it gets all that done, then it comes and cuts the perimeter.
You reorder all that when it comes into command and test. All the stuff you didn't do in Corel, you leave it in your order in the direction. Five years since we were two guys?
At least, yeah.
Do that? Look at that and take the camera. Do that? Look at that and take the camera. Your audience is looking for that. That was fun.
Absolutely. All right, you want to move the table that way?
Yeah.
All right, let's pull it out of here. You got the glove.
That's a nice looking truck.
Now, Ken, I shut the exhaust off. You can see there was no smoke in here. It all goes out the exhaust. And this thing, how thick a metal will this cut it?
This plasma cutter is a Hypertherm PowerMax 65. It'll cut up to 3/4 inch.
This whole setup here, like you saw it, ready to go, $23,000.
23, and you can cut 3/4 inch plate all day.
I'll tell you what, this is a great thing. You guys in the shop doing metal work, you get your money back in no time. Stick around, we got a lot more coming here at Motorhead Garage.
Hey, on this week's industry update, we're featuring something that every classic car, antique car collector should know about, especially if you're going to show your car.
That's right. If the judge opens the hood and you've got some late model battery off the shelf, he's going to knock down the points. You need something that's period correct for that car.
And that's what we have right here. These are period correct batteries from Antique Auto Battery, and they really do a nice job on this thing. What you have is modern technology in it, but you have the look of the period.
Right. They used to be old soft tar tops. This is a poly tar, so it's strong. The caps, these are all made in America, by the way. Each one is hand assembled, hand tested. They're high quality batteries.
And if you notice, they have the raised letters on here. They even had the period correct caps on here as well. This right here, this is what, for a 56, 63 Hudson or Studebaker?
Yeah, the big old batteries. Some of the Buicks even use something like that. This is a 53 to 54 6 volt for Corvette. And of course, this fits your 56 to 64 Ford. This is even a Lincoln Zephyr. It says Lincoln Zephyr right on the strap.
And of course, they've got others in here as well. So if you want to make your car period correct, especially if you're going to take it to a show, this is what you ought to have. You want to find out more about it, all you have to do is go to their website.
Right, Antique Auto Battery has got cables, batteries, resistors, everything you need.
Motorhead Garage, coming to you from Borla Commerce Park.
Hey, welcome back to Motorhead Garage. Sam and I have found ourselves a beautiful motor coach here. Of course, this is courtesy of Alliance Motor Coach.
Yep, those are the folks that we went down and visit them. They serviced my big coach and washed it when we were on our way to Gainesville, remember?
Exactly. Anyway, one of the things you have on these are a lot of tanks and a lot of systems to monitor. And what we're doing today is we're going to put a little bit of an upgrade on this thing, aren't we, Sam?
Yeah, we're going to retrofit the tank levels. You know, when you have these tanks, you have a freshwater tank, you have a gray tank, and you have a black tank. You need to know what the levels are. There's all different systems they use. Most of them aren't very accurate. Some of them even foul.
Exactly. Well, the nice thing about this is what we have. This is from Garnett, and this is our Sea Level 2 tank monitor. And what it has is got where you can monitor a lot of different tanks with one console. It's got battery, fresh, gray water, black water, LPG, all right here.
Right, and it's all done with these sensing strips here. They mount right on the outside of the tank, real easy to do. They use the same wire harness, so the retrofit for this coach is going to be real easy. By the way, I have these in my coaches, and they work great.
All right, well, you get started on that side, and I'll get started right down here.
All right, Don, what have you found on this unit?
It's got the normal low-cost system that we've come to hate over the years because of its inaccuracy, and also you can see a very, very low resolution. In other words, full, third, or empty. And when you're in between, though, you don't know whether you're 1/3 full or how close you are, so dry camping is not very much fun with this. And secondly, in the black and gray tanks, we have much more trouble with shorting and false readings.
And folks, here's a guy that knows what he's talking about. This is Don from Garnett Technology. This is the sea level gauge. We'll be able to read accurately when we set it all up, every level of the tank. We know what the percentage tank is full, is that right?
Every 3/8 of an inch.
Wow. And that's real important because, like you said, if you're dry camping, particularly you don't want to run out of fresh water, but you don't want your black water or your gray water tank to overfill. So what's our first move here?
We would remove the wiring. The second step would be to measure where we want to put these. And the first consideration is where is the tank being fed from, and we can see this is the tank discharge here.
Right.
So we're going to put an index mark, and we'll base the bottom of our reading to be zeroing just before you run out of water.
Great. So what we're going to use to retrofit this is these two wires.
Right.
And we'll leave the probes because you said you don't want any leaks.
Right.
This should have been trimmed anyway when they made it. And what is this red deal here? That's a diode?
That's a diode, and we don't want that in the circuit, so we're going to eliminate that.
So we'll cut this little tie wrap right here. There we go. I didn't want to cut the wires that we didn't need to cut. We can cut this off.
I would trim it right here.
There.
Right there.
There.
And the ground.
There.
And the last level, the 1/3 level.
Okay.
Okay, now all we're looking for is 2 conductors.
Right.
and that is ground and power. So we're going to use the power line as our communication line, we call it.
So we can throw all that away.
And now we've got all that we need to run this tank.
Now, one of these strips is not tall enough.
We can take scissors and actually shorten these as we need to make them fit in this particular span. So we'll determine where the top's going to be, and we'll mark that, these to fit between these two. And during that configuration, we want to tell the system which one is the top board by breaking a trace. Then the system can tell which is top and which is bottom.
We're going to go ahead and mark this up, cut these, install them. We're going to go on the edge of the tank so you don't have any flex. And as soon as we get that done, we'll be ready to wire it. So let's go ahead and measure this. You want to go from here to about there, right?
Making sure there's nothing on the tank surface going to discourage our adhesion. And this is a very special adhesive by 3M designed for low energy surface materials like polyethylene. The only two limitations are cleaning and the temperature. It must be at least 60 Fahrenheit in order to adhere properly.
How am I doing, all right?
Right there.
All right, so we're cutting this and sticking this on. We're going to go ahead and finish this up. Right now, we need to take a break, so stick around. We've got a lot more coming here at Motorhead Garage. So this is cut.
So now the next thing is we want to break this trace on that top.
As you can see, James has just finished installing the new trunk seal on this 63 Riviera. That's OPGI's restoration tip of the week. We're going to talk about installing trunk seal. A lot of components to it. If you're dealing with a freshly new painted car like you are on this Riviera, then you don't have to worry about preparing the channel too much because it's all clean and ready to go. However, if you're replacing it in a car that has an existing seal in there, you're going to want to use a good release agent or an adhesive cleaner to get the whole channel nice and clean ahead of time so you have a good bonding area. And the next thing you want to make sure you're going to have is some weather strip adhesive. We use the black weather strip adhesive. That's what Original Parts Group sells, so you don't see any color or anything like that around here. The proper way to seal it is exactly what James has done, where you end up down here with the seam down here. Now, the first thing you should do is mock it all up there without any glue first. Put it in, make sure it's all right. It's going to be a little bit long, so you're going to have to do some trimming. Get it down here so you got a nice seal. Once you've done that, then take it back out, put a slight little bead of glue all the way around, and then go ahead and put your seal back in there. Now, for some of the show cars, the cars that aren't getting wet, maybe they never see any rain, you can put the seam up here, that way you don't see it down here, but we don't recommend it if you're gonna use the car as a daily driver. James, you got any other tips for them?
You know, really the most important part of the trunk weather strip is just getting the profile right and making sure you get it installed properly so the water does not get up beyond the seal and into your trunk. So pay close attention to that when you're doing your install. You'll be good to go.
That's great advice, James. And that's this week's OPGI restoration tip.
This edition of Motorhead Garage, presented by ARP, is being brought to you by Lincoln Chrome, crafted in the heartland, ready for the world. And by Hurst, America's #1 shifter. And by NSA RV Products. Are you ready to tow? And by VR12, Ultimate Cooling System Protection.
Hey, welcome back to Motorhead Garage. Well, Sam and Don have been working on that side. Now you've moved over here. I need some help too. What we're going to be doing now is mounting the Sea Level 2 tank monitor. This is it right here. As you can see, you can monitor battery, fresh water, gray, black, LPG, everything all in one little unit. Hopefully we can replace this with this. And here's what I'm talking about. I'm going to pop this out. There we go.
There you are.
All right.
Now what we're looking for is the pigtail.
All right, so this right
Every
here.
Every console like that will have a pigtail, and it's always red. So we want to unplug that because that is the wire harness that we're going to be using.
Okay, so this is what we're going to get rid of.
Right.
Hopefully they didn't cut this hole in here so big that we can't use it. If that's the case, we'll be all right. We'll be pretty close.
Pretty close.
All right, so we got this off. Whoop there.
All right. So there's one more piece to the puzzle, and that is the power supply to that switch.
Yeah.
We want to use the constant power as our feed for our console. So
which one's that?
We'll
this
be
right
removing,
here?
Both of them will come off the switch, and then we'll do a test with a voltmeter, make sure we got the right one.
There we go. And let's see if we can get that. Hopefully the spade will come off easier.
And that should be the constant. The insulated one probably is the constant.
This is the constant feed. Okay. All right, let's check this out, Don. See if how close we're going to be here.
The nice thing is that RVIA code tells us by color what wire is doing what. And so we're going to be tying all of our tank lines as far as conductors to one common wire.
Well, we're going to be pretty close here. It's just barely going to make it, but I think I'm going to be all right on it. Okay. So what we do is we'll go ahead and then splice these into these wires, right, and we'll be in good shape then.
Right.
All right, let's see what Sam's doing up there.
So what we did here is, again, we had the white is the ground, the red is the power. Those are wires already in the coach. Makes this a simple retrofit. We tied the two grounds together, the two power leads together, and we taped them up here with some good Gorilla tape on the tank to give it support. The important thing is that these wires stay to the right of the strips, go on the left side, because that'll impede the signal. Nice and tight, nice and neat. That ties right into the console inside, just like Davey's doing back there. Let's check it out, see how he's doing.
All right, well, now while Sam's been screwing around over there, I've been doing the wiring here. And you can see we got it all hooked up now, and it's working. Got our battery going. But here's our wires here. Our blue goes to gray and black and fresh. Our green goes to our LP right over here. Our red to power, and our black goes to the white, or which is ground. So we got it all going. It's working. Now all we have to do is we'll slide it back in here. I used butt connectors on this. Did a good job on it. It's important to do that because these things vibrate around. You don't want these wires to come loose. So I think that's going to ride pretty good there, Don.
I agree. You did a good job.
All right, so we'll put this on. It just barely covers that hole, but we're okay, I think. Meanwhile, just about run out of time here, Don. Let me get this in so we can see what it's going to look like. Hey.
Looking good.
Pretty good. Okay. Well, folks, we've run out of time, but you can see what it looks like. We'll see you again next time here on Motorhead Garage. I'll go ahead and put the rest of those screws in there, and I think we're in business.